Have you ever worked until you were exhausted, finally felt close to finishing, and then watched everything slide backward as if your effort had changed nothing? A debt returns. A project fails. A relationship breaks in the same place. You promise yourself this time will be different, but morning brings you back to the same hill. Greek mythology gave that feeling a body, a mountain, and a stone. His name was Sisyphus. If stories like this make ancient myths feel personal, please like, share, and leave a comment. Your support gives gods and heroes Unveiled the motivation to keep exploring the gods, heroes, punishments, and human struggles that still feel painfully familiar thousands of years later. The man who would not accept an ending. Before Sisyphus became the man beneath the stone, he was remembered as a king of extraordinary cunning. Ancient traditions connect him with Ephra, the city later known as Corinth. He is not introduced as the strongest man in Greece or the greatest warrior. His power is his mind. He sees openings other people miss. He bargains. He schemes. He refuses to accept limits simply because someone more powerful has declared them final. Even the reason for his punishment changes across ancient sources. Homer, in the Odyssey, shows Sisyphus already suffering in the world of the dead, but does not stop to explain why. Other traditions say he revealed one of Zeus's secrets. Later stories make his defiance even more dramatic. He tricks death, binds death, or finds a way to return from the underworld after convincing the powers below that he still has unfinished business among the living. The details vary, but the personality remains recognizable. Sisyphus is the man who sees an ending and asks whether it can be negotiated. Death says, stop. He looks for a loophole. The gods say, obey. He asks what happens if he does not. That kind of intelligence can look admirable when it helps someone escape a trap. It becomes dangerous when a person begins to believe that every boundary exists only for less clever people. There is something very human in that temptation. We hate helplessness. When life gives us a limit we cannot change, many of us immediately search for the hidden lever, the second door, the clever explanation that will put us back in control. Sometimes that instinct saves us. Sometimes it simply postpones the moment when we must face what cannot be outsmarted. The stone that always comes back. When Odysseus visits the realm of the dead in Homer's Odyssey, he sees Sisyphus in violent torment. There is no throne now, no court, no argument clever enough to change the sentence. There is only a massive stone and a hill. Sisyphus braces his hands and feet against the earth. He pushes. The stone rises. His body strains under its weight. He forces it higher and higher toward the crest. For a moment, the goal appears close. Then the weight turns against him. The stone rolls back down to the plain, and Sisyphus begins again. Homer gives us sweat, dust, weight, and repetition. The punishment is not a single moment of pain. It is effort without completion. That distinction matters. A wound hurts, but eventually the moment passes. A battle ends, even if you lose it. A journey reaches somewhere. Sisyphus is denied the emotional reward that usually makes effort bearable, the sense that the struggle is moving toward an ending. Every climb teaches his body what success might feel like. Every fall takes that feeling away. The cruelty is not simply that the stone is heavy. The cruelty is that progress keeps becoming temporary. He is always almost done. And almost done can be more exhausting than never beginning, because hope must be rebuilt every time the stone returns to the bottom. When effort stops producing progress, most of us will never push a mythological boulder through the underworld. But many people know exactly what Sisyphus feels like. You work all month, pay the bills, and the account is nearly empty again. You lose weight, gain it back, and restart the same plan. You build a business, solve one crisis, and another arrives before you can enjoy the victory. You care for someone who is ill, repeat the same exhausting tasks, and no tomorrow may ask you to do them again. You apply for jobs, rewrite the resume, prepare for interviews, receive another rejection, and open the next application. You try to repair a relationship. You have the same conversation. You promise to communicate differently. Weeks later, the same wound opens in almost the same words. This is where Sisyphus stops feeling ancient. Your stone may not be made of rock. It may be debt, a job, an illness, a family responsibility, a relationship, a dream that refuses to work. Burnout often begins when effort and progress stop feeling connected. Human beings can endure enormous difficulty when we believe the difficulty is carrying us somewhere. Training is painful, but there is a race. Studying is exhausting, but there is an exam. Construction is hard, but eventually there is a building. What drains us is the suspicion that tomorrow will demand the same energy while returning us to the same place. That is the hill, not work itself. Work without a believable finish line. The modern hill we climb every day. Forget the underworld for a moment. Think about an ordinary morning. An alarm rings. You get up before you feel ready. You travel through traffic or open the same laptop. Messages have arrived while you slept. Tasks replace the tasks you finished yesterday. Money enters and leaves. The kitchen becomes dirty again. Laundry returns. The body needs food again. Children need attention again. Someone you love needs care again. Even a good life contains repetition. That is important because the myth becomes misleading if we pretend every repeated task is meaningless punishment. Some things return because they are failures. Other things return because they are life. A meal is not pointless because you will be hungry tomorrow. Cleaning is not meaningless because the room will become messy again. Caring for someone is not erased because they will need you again in the morning. The same action can feel like prison or devotion depending on why we are doing it, whether we chose it, whether anyone shares the weight, and whether we can still see a human purpose inside the repetition. This is where the stone becomes more complicated. Sometimes we are exhausted because the task is genuinely crushing us. Sometimes we are exhausted because we believe anything that must be repeated has failed to count. We tell ourselves progress should stay finished. But much of life is maintenance, not conquest. You do not win sleep once. You do not win friendship once. You do not win health once. You do not win a family once. Many of the things we value survive only because someone is willing to return to them. Is persistence always courage? There is another danger hidden inside the story. We love to praise persistence. Keep going. Never quit. Push harder. One more attempt. Those words can save a person who is discouraged too early. They can also trap a person who needs permission to stop. If Sisyphus were simply trying to complete an ordinary project, the rational advice might be obvious. Change the method, ask for help, choose another hill, or decide the goal is no longer worth the cost. But his punishment removes those choices. The point is that the same task must continue. Our lives are different. Sometimes the bravest thing is another push. Sometimes the bravest thing is to release the stone. A business can consume 10 years because the founder cannot admit the dream has changed. A relationship can continue because two people confuse endurance with love. A career can become a prison because leaving feels like wasting everything already invested. A family role can swallow a person's identity because everyone praises their sacrifice while nobody asks whether they are surviving it. Persistence is not automatically meaningful just because it hurts. Suffering does not become noble merely because it lasts a long time. The better question is not, can I keep doing this? The better question is, what is this repeated effort creating in me and around me? If the answer is growth, care, stability, mastery, or protection, repetition may have a purpose even when it is tiring. If the answer is only fear, pride, habit, or the refusal to admit that something has ended, then persistence may become another form of captivity. What Sisyphus cannot control. The most painful moment in the punishment is not the beginning of the climb. It is the instant near the top when Sisyphus discovers that effort is not the only force in the world. He can control whether he pushes. He cannot control whether the stone stays. That is a distinction many of us resist. We are taught that hard work produces results, and often it does. But effort is never the only variable. Markets change. Bodies become sick. Other people make choices. Accidents happen. Timing matters. Luck matters. Systems can be unfair. A person can do almost everything right and still lose. That does not make effort worthless. It means effort was never a guarantee. The fantasy of total control creates a second punishment on top of the first. First, something fails. Then we tell ourselves the failure proves we did not push hard enough, think positively enough, work intelligently enough, or deserve success enough. Sometimes improvement is possible. Sometimes responsibility is real. But sometimes the stone rolls because the stone rolls. There is humility in recognizing the difference between what belongs to us and what is not. We can choose the next action. We cannot force every outcome. We can prepare. We cannot command the future. We can love someone well. We cannot make them stay. We can build carefully. We cannot guarantee nothing will break. The hill becomes unbearable when we demand certainty from a world that never promised it, meaning without a finish line. Centuries after Homer, later thinkers would transform Sisyphus into a philosophical symbol and ask whether a person can create meaning even inside repetition. That is a modern question, not a lesson Homer explicitly gives us. In the Odyssey, Sisyphus is suffering. The stone is punishment. The task is not presented as a cheerful exercise in self-improvement. But modern viewers are allowed to ask a new question while keeping the ancient story honest. If some parts of life really do repeat, and if not every hill can be abandoned, where can meaning come from? Maybe not from finally finishing everything. No one finishes life with an empty inbox, a permanently clean house, every relationship solved, every fear defeated, and every responsibility completed forever. Maybe meaning sometimes lives in the quality of the push, in how we treat people while carrying weight, in whether we notice the person pushing beside us, in whether we ask for help before our body breaks, in whether we can distinguish a necessary burden from one we carry only because we are afraid to set it down, in whether we allow small progress to count even when it does not last forever. This does not turn suffering into something beautiful just because we can describe it poetically. Some burdens should be removed. Some systems should change. Some people need rest, not a speech about resilience. Some stones are too heavy for one person and were never meant to be carried alone. But when a responsibility truly belongs to us, meaning can make repetition different from emptiness. The caregiver may perform the same task every morning, but the task contains love. The student may fail repeatedly, but each attempt can contain learning. The parent may answer the same question 100 times, but the repetition is part of raising a human being. The artist may start again after rejection because making the work still expresses something essential. The hill looks different when the reason for climbing is chosen rather than imposed. The next push. Sisyphus gives us one of mythology's simplest images and one of its most uncomfortable mirrors. A man. A stone. A hill. Almost there. Back to the bottom. Again. We recognize it because our lives are filled with cycles. Some cycles are punishment. Some are maintenance. Some are love. Some are habits we have outgrown. Some are responsibilities no one else can carry for us. And some are burdens we should have asked for help with years ago. The myth does not give us one easy command to keep pushing or to give up. It gives us a better question. What exactly is your stone? Is it heavy because the work matters? Is it heavy because you are carrying it alone? Is it heavy because the goal is impossible? Or is it heavy because you have forgotten why you began? There may be seasons when courage means putting your shoulder against the rock one more time. There may be seasons when wisdom means stepping aside and letting a different life begin. The important thing is to know the difference. Because endless effort is not automatically a meaningful life. But neither is repetition automatically meaningless. Sometimes we do the same thing again because nothing changed. Sometimes we do it again because keeping something alive requires returning to it. And sometimes the smallest victory is not reaching the summit. It is waking up, looking at the hill clearly, and choosing your next move instead of moving only because you always have. If this story made you think about burnout, repetition, or a burden you keep carrying, please like, share, and leave a comment. And if there is any god, hero, tragedy, relationship, emotion, or question from the ancient world you want gods and heroes unveiled to explore next, tell us. Your stone may not be made of rock. What is the stone you keep pushing uphill in your own life?